Hi, and welcome to REI Quick Start. This is Dennis Fassett. I'm going to be your instructor here for the course. And the first thing I want to do is first give you a sincere thank you for signing up for this course, and also give you a sincere and hearty congratulations on taking action. When I first got started, I had done some of the same things and taken some similar courses on how to get started because I really realized that I wanted to stand on the shoulders of people that had done things before. And whenever I took one, they would congratulate me on taking the course. And I thought, well, that's kind of stupid. I just paid a few bucks, and now they're congratulating me on taking a course. And I realized after I got started that, and as I've been in the business a few years, that you deserve congratulations because most people don't even make it to the point where you are right now and have taken the action of just taking a course. And then fewer still even move on to actually taking action with the knowledge that they have. But I want to uplift you and say congratulations again for taking the course, for taking action. Just by doing this, just by signing up for this program, you've separated yourself from 99% of the other real estate investors out there. And that's a great thing. So this is the introductory portion of the course. I've got a couple of slides I want to walk through, then we'll get into the content. First of all, I realize that you don't know anything about me, or you may not know anything about me. So I wanted to take just one quick slide and kind of give you a thumbnail overview of who I am and why you might make sense to listen to me. Again, my name is Dennis Fassett. I live in Southeast Michigan area. We often say suburbs of Detroit, but the problem is once you say suburbs of Detroit, everybody thinks Detroit. No, I live in the suburbs and I invest in the suburbs, and I don't generally invest in the city or war zones or anything like that. Got an MBA in finance 20 some years ago from USC, fight on to my Trojan family. I've been a corporate guy for over 20 years. I really kind of bought into this whole program as I was coming up through grad school. And after grad school, I've done a whole bunch of different things: investment banking, corporate finance, finance operations, information technology, all different kinds of things. And what I realized is that when I kind of made it in 2003, I finally made it to level of director. I was like, wow, yeah. I was, all in on this corporate ladder. Once I'd made it, that was about 5 minutes before the automotive industry started to crash and burn. And again, being in Southeast Michigan in the Detroit area, we're heavily weighted towards automotive. So get my director in September, automotive industry crashes in January. I had a couple months of, the fourth quarter of 2003 that I was kind of living large. I was the director. What happened is that when the auto industry started to crash in 2004, nobody was looking out for me. They were looking out for themselves. I mean, what do I expect? Kind of knew the game, but it was really a rude awakening because my company was laying off vice presidents. They were laying off corporate directors. They were laying off everybody. And over the course of the next, 15, 16, 17 months, the company either let go or sold off 1/3 of the entire company. So it was really stressful that time. And so I really started real estate. I looked around and I said, nobody's looking out for me. My job isn't secure. I was the newest director in the company. My job isn't secure. So I needed to do something to create a safety net for my family. So I started looking around and, looked at multi-level marketing. I looked at starting a franchise, buying a Subway, actually. I looked at doing a whole different things, getting a job at Starbucks, whatever. But it just, nothing would give me the cash flow that I needed in the time that I had to work with. Because again, when your company's not doing well, you don't work less, you work more, right? So I was working a ton, so I had to, fit real estate or whatever I was going to do in a very short time window every week. And it was after work, late at night, and sometimes on weekends. There's not a lot of businesses that lend themselves to those kinds of hours. So, but I found rental real estate and started with single families. Now I have a portfolio of rental houses and one apartment building, and they're all profitable. They're all full right now. And it's going very well. I also still do wholesaling. Wholesaling is a great way. We'll talk about that a lot in this program. Wholesaling is a great way to make transactional income. You do a deal, you get a check. You do a deal, get a check. I've even done some profitable flips, several profitable flips. The thing that I find with flips, though, is they're really time intensive. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit as we go forward. I don't really do flips anymore. I'm also a published author of a book on buying single family rental houses. If you go search on Amazon.com for my name, you're going to find my book there. It talks all about my single family set and forget rental house program, which is what I do now. Again, I've got a bunch of houses, got an apartment building. I don't have any time to manage them, so I buy really good stuff to begin with, and then that sets me up for a pretty, I don't want to say, it's not a risk-free and it's not a time-free management portion of that, but it's a lot less than most people spend. I spend a lot less time on my rentals than most people spend on theirs. I've been teaching cash flow real estate investing since 2008. So I developed this really cool program for set and forget rental houses, and been teaching it since '08. And since that time, my students have bought over 100 houses, all profitable, all really well, in some really, really great areas, and they're really excited about it. And I continue to teach people how to do that, because rental real estate is really cool. But the interesting thing is I started teaching this quick start concept about 18 months ago or so. And the way it happened is that some of my students, some of the folks that signed up for my single family rental program, they said, Dennis, we like what you're saying. We understand it. We get it, but we don't have any money to buy rental houses. And that's a real problem right now. There used to be some creative ways before the economy crashed. There used to be some creative ways to buy rental houses that you can use short-term money and kind of do refis and that type of thing. But those methods really don't work anymore. They don't exist anymore. I think they're going to come back, but they don't exist right now. So you need to really be able to write a check for 30% down payment, or maybe a 25% down payment to buy a rental house right now. And if you're buying $100,000 rental houses, that's $25,000. If you're buying $50,000 rental houses, that's still $12,500 plus closing costs and stuff. So the issue was people didn't have any money. And so I said, you know what? I was in the same situation when I got started. Didn't have any money. I had credit, but I didn't have credit lines. I mean, I had my Visa, and MasterCard, and American Express card, but I didn't have big credit, credit lines I can go write a $50,000 check against to go buy a house. It just didn't work. And so I decided, you know what, why don't I teach folks how to get started like I got started, to do some transactional things, to build up some money, then to buy a rental house, and then to do some more transactional things and do some more transactional deals to make more money to buy another rental house, and really kind of take baby steps and go from there. And, and it worked really well. I've been teaching people really informally for, the past roughly 18 months, and it's gone really well. People are really kind of getting it. But what I want to emphasize is just that we're starting from scratch. The goal of this program is to start from scratch, to take you from literally zero knowledge of real estate investing to getting your first check. And we're going to start with basics, day one, setting up your business, that type of thing. Okay. If you have some knowledge, great. That'll be helpful. But again, we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to walk through the process of creating a business plan. We're going to walk through the process of getting your business set up properly. We're going to walk through the process of finding leads, process of getting deals, and the selling deals. This is going to be comprehensive. Again, if you just fell out of bed this morning, bumped your head, and decided you wanted to get into real estate investing, know nothing about it, this will be a perfect thing to you. It's totally comprehensive. It's going to tell you everything that I know about doing this stuff. And the best part about it is that, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, is we're going to do all of this while using a very small amount of money. So you don't have any, you're in the right place. I do want to tell you though, I'm going to teach you one path to getting your first check. How about your first checks? Okay, because we'll set up a process where you're going to be getting checks. The truth is there are a lot of ways to make money in real estate. There's a lot of ways to do flipping, wholesaling, rental houses, whatever. There's a ton of different ways, and I'm sure that you've seen courses and programs out there about how to make money in real estate. And what I found working with new folks is that the big issue is that there are too many options and too many approaches. When I talk to new folks, they say, they're absolutely bombarded and overwhelmed with information. They really, and I've had people tell me this, they said, Dennis, forget about all this other crap. Tell me what to do. Tell me step 1, tell me step 2, tell me step 3. I don't know which of these programs to pick. I don't know really what the best way is to get started. So please just tell me tell me the way you got started. And that's the genesis of how REI Quick Start got going. So this course is different. I'm going to teach you one path. It's the path that I took and my coaching students are taking to get their first check. Okay. And we're going to go step by step through it. Once you get some experience, you can be as creative as you want, but I'm going to suggest you take one path. I'm going to tell you the one best way that I get leads. I'm going to tell you the one best way that I approach the leads. I'm going to tell you the one best way that I make offers. I'm going to tell you a couple ways to find buyers for your deals. Okay. But again, it's one approach all the way through. It's not going to say, well, you can do this if it's a Tuesday or you can do this if it's a Wednesday. No, none of that. I'm going to take you step by step through one approach, and then we're going to be done. And then by the end, what I'm expecting you to be able to do by the end of this program is go and make your first offer. And the benefit is that I'm going to give you, in pretty much every one of these sessions, I'm going to give you specific action items, specific homework to do so you can move forward and progress through this. So again, I know your first decision and your first kind of activity is that you're going to want to go, blast through all this stuff to get to the good stuff. Well, you know what? It builds on each other. When we do the business plan, we do the self-assessment, you do all this kind of stuff. It kind of builds on one another. So, blast through it. That's fine. But then come back to the beginning and start from scratch and do the beginning steps. Talk to the people, get your business set up properly, start looking for leads like I'm telling you, and then go through the process that way. You can't jump to the end and make offers if you don't know if your business isn't set up properly. Okay. So we're going to single thread all this stuff through. There's a couple things you may be able to do in parallel, but what I want you to do is follow along, do the work as we go along, and then you'll be set up. You're going to build a great foundation for your business, and then you'll be set up for success once the people start calling you back. That's the scary part. Getting leads is great and a lot of fun. The scary part is when they start calling back, right? And you've got to actually go out and talk to these folks and go make offers. But you know what? We'll talk through all of that as we move forward. Now, let's talk about what we're going to go through in this program. 14 sessions. First one, we're going to talk about money and credit, kind of blast and destroy some myths about money and credit for, the need for money and credit when you get started with real estate investing. Second session is we're going to do an introduction to real estate investing. I'm going to walk you through the real estate investing progression, how you get started, kind of where you can go from there, and talk to you about all the different flavors of REI. So once you get some experience, you can choose what direction you want to go next once you master the approach we're going to take here. Session 3 is the self-assessment. It's really important to understand yourself, your money situation, your time situation, your family situation before you get started. So I want to take you through a really brief self-assessment. So I want you to go think and, take a pad and a piece of paper, no computer, no phone, no nothing, and just think about 4 or 5 different things. And I want you to do a really brutal and brutally honest self-assessment on these things. And there's no right or wrong answers except what's the truth. The truth is the right answer. Okay. After you do the self-assessment, you're going to feed that into a business plan. Again, these aren't very formal documents. They don't have big fancy schmancy templates to send you. I've got an outline that I'm going to give you, and I can just create a Word document for each one of these and just bang away at the different options. What's your mission statement? Why are you doing this? That type of thing. And you're going to feed in your time constraints, and we're going to come up with a weekly action plan at the end of the business plan and say you're going to spend, whether it's 3 hours or 10 hours a week, that's what you're going to spend. And as we go through the program, you're going to find out how to spend that time. But in the business plan, we're going to do all that. Again, so you see we're building on every session is building on the prior one. Session 5 is getting started. We're going to talk about people to talk to. We're going to talk about steps to take to get your business set out properly and so on. There's 7 steps to get started, and then there's, I think, 4 or 5 people that you need to talk to while you're getting started. Okay. That's the business startup portion. Now, again, if you look at this, we haven't done anything. We haven't taken one action yet that's going to put a dime of money in your pocket heavily. It's all kind of internal focus, and we're kind of getting the business, getting ready to get ready, as I like to say. None of this puts a dime of business in your pocket. So what does that mean? That means you need to get to it and get through it. Okay. Don't spend a lot of time on it, because this is not stuff that's going to put one penny in your pocket. Okay. Session 6, we're going to start to talk about wholesaling. Wholesaling is the approach that we're going to use. It's going to be really brief. I've got a wholesaling wheel I want to show you, and then we'll get into the meat, okay? Where to find leads. There's one best way to find leads. I'm telling you right now, I've been using this source since 2004. It's been awesome for me. I've continued to use it. I'm known in the community here by, for these types of leads. And I'll tell you why they're so great, and we'll go through the whole process of where these leads are and how to find them. 7 talks about where to find leads, and section 8 is the process for actually finding them. So 7's the source, and 8's the process of kind of finding the actual physical leads and processing them and getting the letters out. Deal with the phone call and that type of thing when people call back. Okay, session 10 is the property visit. Okay, so we're going to find leads in 8. We're going to, send our letters out. We're going to get phone calls back in 9, and people are going to call us back and say, I got your letter. Let's talk. You're going to set up an appointment to go visit the property. In 10, we'll talk about how to look at the property properly. Session 11 is how to analyze a deal. Very important. I've got 2 really basic formulas for you to look at, and some people you're going to talk to, because if you're new, this is the hardest part of the whole process. This session 11, it's the most difficult part and the most risky part because you don't really know what you're doing yet. So we need to kind of give you some tools and techniques and people to talk to help you through it. We'll talk about all that in session 11. Session 12 is when you're getting closer to your check. It's getting the deal under contract. Very straightforward. You need a couple of documents, all be provided for you. But again, it's a very straightforward process of getting it under contract. And I talk about negotiation, all of that there. And session 13 is finding buyers. Session 13 is out of sequence a little bit. We should be starting to find buyers after we finish the get started, and I'll talk about that once we get to session 13. But I put it in here just because that's where it ends up in the sequence. I didn't want to mess up with the lead finding portion of the program. So 13 is about finding buyers, although we're going to start it earlier than that. And 14 is selling the contract. Basically, when you're done when the end part of wholesaling is selling the contract and getting a check for cash money that you can put in the bank. And that's where we'll end there, with selling the contract. And again, the goal is when you are done with these 14 sessions and have done the homework and kind of built on all the assignments and build your foundation, you're going to be able to get out there. And when the first person calls you back, you're going to know exactly what to do, exactly how to talk to them, exactly how to go visit the property, analyze the deal, find a buyer and get it under contract and sell the contract. That's the goal. And that's what we're going to talk about through the next 14 sessions. Okay. A couple disclaimers before we get into the meat of the program is I am not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. I am not providing legal advice or guidance of any kind. Some of the things we're going to talk about are legal processes in terms of finding leads and that type of thing. But, I am not an attorney. I am just a real estate investor. Okay. The material in this presentation is educational in nature only. If you decide to pursue these strategies and tactics I will discuss, your results could vary significantly from mine. Hopefully you'll make a ton more money than I am right now. That's great. But again, we're talking about a business, and really it's going to depend on your area. It's going to depend on your motivation. It's going to depend on your persistence, and it's going to depend on the time that you put into it as you go along. So, I can tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to tell you everything what I'm doing because I hate theory. It's all going to be factual information about what I'm doing and what I've done. But really, the application of that to your business is really up to you. And that's what I'm trying to say here. So that's the get started. Congratulations once again for being part of this program. I'm thrilled to have you as part of the program. I'm looking forward to walking with you and working with you over the next 14 sessions to get this done. If you've got any questions, reach out. Let me know. Shoot me an email and we'll get through it. Okay. But again, congratulations and let's get started.